Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gathering of Gachas, the only podcast that focuses exclusively on the games your parents don't want you to play. I'm Galen, TheSoundGuy Firestone, recently returned from, what is it you said, Rana? You murdered me and wore my skin?
Maybe, but then it was too hot, so I gave it back.
Thanks.
That's the law. That's the law, anyway. So I'm Ranakel, and I'm here. And I don't wear any additional skin but my own.
Well, would it be additional if it was your own?
No, I guess it wouldn't. And we have a guest!
We have a special
Distraction!
guest.
I am Geisterfuchs, and I am back.
Welcome back,
Geister. How have you been? It's been a while since we've had you on the show.
Oh, very hot, very sweaty, but luckily very healthy.
Yeah, we're pretty close geographically. Geisterfuchs is in Germany, and I'm in France, right next to the German border. So we have similar sweltering climate conditions, where it's more or less around the 30 degrees Celsius, 85-ish degrees Fahrenheit.
It's toasty.
37 here, but...
Oh yeah. At least right now it's breathable because it's 10 p.m.
That is a good sign, so I'm glad we were able to get to you guys at a time where you could make it.
Yeah, it turned out one of my favorite hobbies in the world is breathing.
That's a good hobby to have.
We should do a breathing podcast.
We probably shouldn't. I'm not sure how that would work.
I could open the balcony door to let air in if I didn't have a cat.
I know that struggle well.
That would do it.
Ginger is a perennial guest star on the stream, and we all know how rambunctious she is.
Yeah.
Sophie is sitting right behind me. I hope she's quiet this time.
That would be nice.
Hello, cat.
Wouldn't be the first time we'd have to take a pet pause if she wasn't. And...
Indeed. Well, now, shall we talk about gacha games?
Let's talk about gacha games. Let's just go ahead and dive right into the FFBE recap of the week, and boy, there's a lot of units.
Yeah, a recap of the week and the last week for that matter, and basically what's happening right now is that they're seeing that the meta is going to change soon. They've gone full gas right on past the most powerful unit that were released before the arrival of Neovisions.
So that is this Zenaida lady, if I'm not mistaken.
That's one of it, yes. So Zenaida, a little bit of story of how she was in JP first.
Please, because I'm hearing there's been some change with that.
Yeah, so there's two versions of it. If you want to search reasons to be angry at Gumi, you could say that she was a free unit in JP and became a normal banner unit in Global.
Alright, that sounds not great, but I'm willing to hear the other side of this.
The other side of this is that she was a unit that was an exceedingly rare reward from an event that happened every couple of months, and that basically nobody had her at 7-star in the first few months, unless they were extremely lucky. So now we have her pullable in a mostly regular fashion, and she is readily available for everyone. Her prism can be UOC'd, and overall she is much more readily available for people, instead of relying on sub 1% chance to pull her on a limited reward.
Yeah, I have to be honest. This isn't the first time they've made a change kind of like that. If you want to put asterisks next to them, Lauren, Medina, and Carlette were also free insofar as you got them guaranteed if you spent money on other stuff.
Yes.
They were moved into the banner as well, and that was a change for the better. This is a case where they're actually giving people access to the unit who otherwise would not have it by just treating her like a normal unit, which I'm not entirely certain I'm opposed to. It's just, especially if she's as rare as you said. Like, it sounds like nobody had this chick.
Pretty much. I know, for instance, that Sinzar pulled his first one last month, while he's been playing since at least Boss Rush started, meaning that he's tried every time with the maximum number of tickets you can get, and got only one of them, meaning that he still doesn't have it as 7-star, and that's just one of such example. Now, one thing that's notable is that to make her stand out from the pack of units you can get from the worlds and from the regular banner, they made a thing, which is that they made her very, very powerful. She is an excellent unit. If basically at 6-star, she has more war power than most units released in the last 3 months.
Nice.
And at 7-star, this ramps up to a point where, as a non-dragoon, she has a higher burst than Fang, which is our most bursty dragoon right now, and dragoons excels at only one thing, and that's burst.
Hang on, Zenaida's a dragoon? Because she
no,
looks like
she's not.
Okay. I'm like,
And
wait a
she
minute, I'm
bursts
looking at
higher
this, I
than
can't see a
dragoon.
jump skill on here, I'm seeing a bunch of AMOE chains.
Yeah. And that's not her main way to do damage. She's an LB damage dealer, mostly.
Ooh, okay, I didn't even look down there yet.
But let's start from the top. So, first, her TMR and STMR are some of the absolute best in the game.
Yeah, I'm noticing these are ridiculous. Like, graceful footwork here is just attack 60% and 25% killers on 4 fairly common, 3 fairly common and then 1 weirdo enemy type.
Yep. So that's already a very good TMR that you can slot in on most people.
Flat 60% plus a bunch of killers. Like, who's going to argue with that?
Yeah, and her STMR is absolute best in slot for a lot of characters.
Yeah, that's psychotic. 65 base attack and 100% true dual wield. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the 65 attack is probably the most important part, because a lot of people actually have high natural true dual wield and only need like 50% to truly shine. But the fact that this gives that and this stupid amount of attacks is very notable, and it's going to be a mainstay for a lot of people.
Understandable.
So we already have a good amount of game now. Let's talk about Zenaida's cons for a moment.
Okay, let's hear cons, because right now I'm not really seeing that many. I'm seeing imbues, I'm seeing chains, I'm seeing...
Yeah. So her cons are exactly 2.
Okay.
First is that her weapon selection is pretty narrow. Flails, fist weapons, and spears.
Okay.
It's also somehow a pro that I'm going to return to later.
Okay.
But fist weapons, spears, and flails isn't the most diverse selection of weapons.
Obviously, it's only 3 out of, 10 weapon types?
Yeah. And the second problem that she has for events like Dark Visions is that her setup turns deal enough damage to kill most bosses already. Yes.
Her con is that she hits too hard. That's a new one.
Exactly. That's Zenaida in a nutshell. Now then, her weapon selection. It's also a pro because the best fist weapon in the game and the best one-handed spear in the game are both free rewards from trials right now.
Okay, so you could just equip her with the best stuff in the game, done, GG.
Exactly.
Are either of those elemental weapons? Like, do we have to worry about cross-element shenaniganry?
Nope. Both Tiger Fangs and the Fey Spear are non-elemental, which means that Zenaida is free to imbue herself with fire, or earth, or lightning, or dark. She has 4 elements she can imbue.
So, let me get this straight. Not only is she super powerful, but her best slot weapons you probably already have just by getting her. What the heck?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't stop there.
Keep going. Let's hear this.
Okay, 120% Imperials for these elements I've mentioned.
Nice.
With a 74% break for one stat attached to them.
Sure.
She is one of the only physical units that can quint cast.
Yeah, I saw that on her LB.
Yeah. And she can use this quint cast to use a flash kick, which fills her own LB gauge by 6, meaning that she can LB every other turn. Guaranteed.
And Flash Kick, let me just take a look at that move real quick.
Flash Kick is a normal attack with a 5.6 time modifier, which fills her LB gauge by 6.
Okay, so that's good if you're using that, not so good if you want her to also chain, but if she's doing the...
it's fair only to give her a guaranteed version to fill her LB.
Yeah. Does her LB chain with anybody else's, or is it another one of those, like, nope, just her own thing?
Just her own thing. It's mostly used as a finisher.
Yeah, so it sounds to me from what I am seeing here that she's kind of not the best for dark visions, but incredible everywhere else.
In dark visions, she's not the best because, as I've said, she kills bosses before she can actually
right, she kills bosses before
damage.
she can actually get stuff, and you don't have a dupe to chain her LB with on the off chance they survive, which they won't because she's too strong.
Yeah, but no, you don't use another dupe to chain.
Oh right, you use her as a
LB
finisher. You just said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you use her as a finisher in another chain. Also, she has the ability to self-imbue on turn 5 Beast, Human, Dragon, and Stone Killer at 150%, that you can then spread around.
Hyzon.
Exactly. And, the main interest, we didn't mention her LB. It's a 120 times raw modifier, which is affected by LB damage, including innate 100% LB damage boost, plus the possibility to have external LB boost.
I almost choked on my Gatorade when you said that.
Yeah, no, it is enormous.
Yeah.
She is right now the second best DPS by a large margin, and it's only second because of the next unit we're going... Well, not the next unit, but the unit after that we're going to talk about.
Okay, so Zenaida's ridiculous, which is kind of funny, because aren't we, like, point blank on Neovisions now?
Exactly, which is why, basically, they've released the best units of the 7-star era time after time after time during this last week. We've had Umbral Dark Behemoth Fina, then we've had Van, then we've had her, and then we have Kuja, which is even more damaging. It's pretty crazy.
Nice. Alright, so next up we have the Fina twins.
Yes. They aren't released as part of a banner, but I think they've been added to the normal summon pool. Yes. So they are part of the summon pools, but they don't have a banner dedicated to them.
Okay. So what I'm seeing here is combined magic attack or healer. That makes sense. I'm seeing Stardust Ray Graviton Cannon. Nice.
With terrible modifiers, and the hitting isn't that good, and it's one of the worst units that's been released in the last few months.
No! Alright, well, the TMR is Match 55 plus dual wield. That's pretty nice.
Yes.
And
the STMR is 50% true magic dual wield with 50% magic and a couple of resistances.
That's not terrible.
The STMR is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Sadly, they're bad, huh?
Yeah. But if you like them, you can get them guaranteed for 3,000 lapis.
Does that up to 7-star, or is it just the one?
You can buy it up to 4 times, so you can get the STMR guaranteed for 12k.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
For a decent...
just there in the shop here, you can have them.
You know what? I can't... I have to recommend that for collecting purposes and having a very solid TMR and STMR combo. Like, they both seem very good. Like,
yeah, sure, but as units, to be perfectly clear, they are, as of the current meta, absolutely terrible.
Yeah. Oh, 7.5 times? That's it on Stardust Ray?
Yes.
Yikes. Stardust Ray?
Yes, also,
Stardust
yes.
Ray. I don't know why I thought
they
it was something else. Yeah.
They're magical chain Stardust Ray.
Graviton can't... This would have been good a year ago, maybe.
Yeah. And that's pretty much when they were released relative to JP, I think. We have them very late, and it shows.
Yeah, they're way behind. Well, that's a shame.
Also, as I've said in the mini-episode, they're notable because they're the 14th and 15th Fina, meaning that we have reached Fina Fantasy 15.
Nice. I mean, at the time I stopped, I had every Fina in the game and then some, so I'm like, I would probably end up buying them just to keep that going, but,
Yeah, I mean, it's a cheap purchase if you want them.
Yeah, I mean, 12,000 for a guaranteed STMR of what is effectively a rare pull unit is hard to pass up, to be perfectly honest.
I did because I have no resources after the complete banger of a set of units that I've had. But
that is true. There's a big asterisk of if you have the resources for it, it's worth it. But
yeah, if you want it, you can have it, and you can have it guaranteed. We like predictability, players of randomly pulled unit games.
The unit itself is sad, but the banner the unit is on is the bundle the unit is in. Excuse me, is quite good.
Personally, I bought one of the packs because as a collector, I wanted the unit.
Understandable.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And if you want them, there's a chance you'll have them eventually because after the bundle is away, they're added to the normal rare summon pool. So you can randomly get them off banner. It's a low chance, but it's possible. Also of note, the STMR was buffed from JP. Originally, it was only 25% magic to dual wield. Now it's been matched to 50%, which makes it much more reasonable.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's something I'd actually equip.
Okay. Okay, I have no complaints other than the fact that there's bad fetus now. Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully they get some kind of buff. Like, there could be like a Neovision of them or something.
Maybe. We never know.
We'll never know. We probably will know one day.
Yes. What we do know is that we've had our first version of basically the big monthly challenge event that's alternating with Dark Visions in JP.
Okay.
Which is the first boss rush.
Okay.
And I actually like it a lot.
All right, tell me about this boss rush, because it's actually the very first time I've heard about it. I don't even know about the JP version.
Okay, so the bad version of it is that it's another way to have you clear 15 trials in a week. But it's much better than Dark Visions, which was the same premise. Because first, it's not a rank scoring event, so you just have to clear and you're getting things done, and you're getting all of the rewards. So that's already much more relaxing.
Okay.
Also, it lasts 2 weeks, so you have the time to do things at your own pace, mostly.
Nice.
And then the way it works is that you have 3 difficulties: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And in each difficulty, you have one challenge where you just fight one boss. Then you unlock some rewards and the next tier where you fight the boss you just fought and another one until you fight 5 bosses in a row. You don't get to fight the 5 bosses in a row right away because each of the challenges gives you reward, which means that if you can't clear all of the bosses, you still get part of the reward. But it does mean you have to fight more than you would, especially on the earlier stages.
Right.
The beginner bosses are mostly jokes. The advanced bosses are interesting in that stats-wise, they're pretty much one-shottable, but they have caveats and party construction challenges. To give you an idea, the first boss is quasi-invincible on the first turn, and you have to survive a little bit and kill it on the second turn. The second boss is, there's two enemies. One is immune to everything but physical wind damage, and the other is immune to everything but magical wind damage. And so on and so forth. It's basically a party composition puzzle. And then the last tier, the advanced challenges, is bosses we already know. There's the giant goat, there's Calcabrina, there's what's the one between? The giant iron armor. And then we have the Scorn versions of Icebird and Bomb Family. And it's the exact same as the trail we already have.
Okay. So, does it take one party to do all these?
Yeah, you can change in between waves.
Okay.
You can change, for instance, if you want to clear the last 4 bosses, you can do a party that can clear those, but would absolutely fall to the last boss. But it's wave after wave.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Yeah, and the rewards are pretty good. It's a bit different than how it works in JP. In JP, they had these exclusive tickets that gave you random rewards, including parts and very rarely 5-star base units, which could be Zenaida. And now the way this works in Global is that we have the rewards that gives access to a back summon, meaning that we have mostly guaranteed rewards, which include 5 5-star EX tickets, some 4-star tickets, some UOC tickets, and overall it costs 50 tickets to do the 3 boxes, and you get something like a bit over 60 tickets if you clear all of the bosses with all of the missions, meaning that after you've done all of these rewards, you can still pull, and it gives you king pots of a variety of types.
Okay, that sounds pretty fair, honestly.
Yeah, and you get like 5 5-star base units out of it, even if you only clear the beginner stages, the intermediate stages, and the first 3 bosses of the advanced stages. So it's honestly pretty accessible, given that these 3 stages, advanced ones, are honestly pretty power crept at this point.
Yeah, the ones you said, like, did you not say that,
Yeah, they're the non-scorn versions.
Yeah. So the snag is gonna go down in, like, 1 hit.
Oh, absolutely. All 3 with me went in 1 hit, because I've brought my Umbral Dragon Dark Fina and a friend's one. Yeah, because it's on the normal trail track, you can also bring friends units.
Okay,
meaning that you can reasonably get carried through most of these trails too, if you have the friends you need.
Well, there we have it then.
Yeah, so it's a pretty nice set of trials. Provides a decent bit of challenge, but isn't insurmountable. You do have to think to create a party that will survive all of this. And Icebird Scorn is still tricky. Same with the Bomb Family, especially when you have to account for both.
Yeah.
But even if you can't really do this, you can still get most of the rewards. And yeah, overall, it's a nice bit of challenge, which gives good reward and provides a bit of a break for dark visions. I like it a lot.
Okay.
But let's say you still need more power. Well, this week's got you covered. Because we have the first and so far, I think, only CG villain, which is Kuja.
There needs to be more of these.
Agreed. And if they can be at a similar power level, it's all the better, because he is absolutely monstrous.
Yeah.
Angel of Death Kuja.
Seeing these modifiers a lot of
Yeah.
very insane ones on.
So, as usual, let's start with the gear.
Mhm.
TMI is pretty decent, 25% true dual wield, 25% LB damage, and 40% magic or materia.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. STMR is interesting because it provides a new type of buff.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's the start of one of two new types of buff we're getting, which is the elemental buffs. That provides increased damage that stacks with everything else. If you're dealing hail, fire, or light damage.
Right, which happen to be his two primary elements.
Of course. And then we have the unit himself, which is a Cursory Awakened Chainer, with indeed fire and light as his main elements.
Yep, I see just triple cast for no reason.
Yeah, which is pretty standard.
Yep.
As is the quad cast that's unlocked.
Makes sense.
He has an LB that's decent, and its most interesting part is that before it's cast, it breaks the enemy by 70% on defense and spirit, but only for this turn.
Okay.
Yeah, he mostly quad casts with pretty crazy modifier that uses his LB crease for his bigger burst, meaning that you generally want to use his LB for something other than his LB.
Oh.
But that is part of his quad cast.
Okay.
And he can do it reasonably because, as a siege unit, he gets full LB on turn 1.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, he also has some magic demon and undead killer. Nothing exceptional, but it helps one things up.
It certainly doesn't hurt. Killers are always nice.
Yeah. And in case you need even more LB, you can have a cooldown that increases a bit his modifier, and most importantly, auto casts for the next 2 turns full LB refill.
Okay.
So yeah, he's not all that fancy in the way he works, but his modifiers are very, very big, and so he does very, very big damage.
Yep, he just blows stuff up.
Yep, that's Kuja.
That sounds about right.
He shares his banner with Garland.
Alright, let's take a look at Garland then.
Yeah, so his STMR is nice. 60% magic on an accessory, 30% resist all elements. That's something I like to see a lot.
30% all elements is no joke. I feel like that's going to fly under the radar, but that's actually really nice.
Yeah, no, it's very good. 40% magic and 50% resistance to stop is blah for his TMR, so you
it's
don't
blah,
like that.
but at least it pairs okay with Shiva.
Yeah.
Like, it's not completely useless.
And then you have a unit with fire and dark element, that's a Cursory Awakened Chainer with bad modifiers.
Yep.
And his main utility is 130% break, Imperial, to fire and dark, which doesn't have full uptime.
Okay. Yeah,
And,
he sounds pretty skippable. He has some okay debuffs if you squint at them really hard.
Yeah, but I certainly wouldn't use him over, say, Behemoth Dark Fina.
Yeah, he's pretty meh.
Yeah, he's very much here to have something you don't like to see while trying to pull for Kuja.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shoutouts to something that we haven't really seen since, like, Cloud of Darkness, though, which is the natural 30% resist to all element he has.
That is pretty nice. Again, built-in resistance, good. We like this.
Yeah. But, he doesn't really have the chops to be notable on the DPS department, and doesn't really have a real niche that you want to use a party slot to.
Right. And
so that's Garland.
That's Garland, and that then brings us to our free unit, who is Zidane.
Yeah,
just, you know,
Knight of Pluto Zidane.
Knight of Pluto armor. That was actually pretty funny.
So, the free TMR and STMR we can get are both pretty decent. Third offering is 30% attack and 20% attack and defense mastery on dagger and sword, meaning that you equip a dagger and a sword, 70% attack, 40% defense.
That's not terrible. That's pretty usable.
Yeah, especially since we use the best way to equip dodge tank is with daggers and swords.
So that sounds like that'd be good for Mastermind Zon.
Yeah, because of Mastermind Zon's STMR and Van's STMR and Adventurer Luck's STMR.
Well, there we have it.
Which are 3 weapons with 30% dodge.
And on the subject of dodge, we have Zidane's shield, which is his STMR.
52
defense and spirit with... Now, this is weird. The physical and magic evade is really nice. But
yes.
Then it has attack on it?
Sure, why not?
I guess why not, but it just feels weird to have attack on a shield. Like, that seems like a mildly wasted slot, especially since this is his name we're talking about. He's been the poster child for dual wield since forever.
Yeah, and we've covered just now the SCMRs we like to equip on dodge unit. Generally, you want your dodge tank to have 2 weapons, another weapon, and a shield.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if you need to, it's that kind of situation, which might come in useful only for one of the new trails we're going to talk about soon. But yeah, it's pretty niche. It's not a hot chase.
Yeah. I'm seeing some Stardust Ray. I'm seeing some Bolting Strike. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. With the ability to imbue an Imperial Wind.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds okay. Of course, he's got dual wield.
He also got Mirage and Mitigation for the whole party, but it really doesn't have full uptime. It's on an 8-turn cooldown.
Yeah. He's okay.
Yeah,
he's probably one of the weaker and less interesting free units we've seen in a while.
Yeah, they're trying some few things, but it doesn't really gel.
Yeah.
He doesn't really work that much as a tank, he doesn't really work that much as a damage dealer, and he doesn't really work that much as support.
Yeah.
One more reason why Zidane has trouble fitting in. It's thematic in a way.
It is, but it kind of makes me sad because he's one of my favorite FF heroes, and I would love to see him treated with a little more love, though my understanding is CG Zidane is still pretty good.
I think CG Zidane was okay, but was the victim of GL power creep.
Well.
Now then, since the TMR for the 4-star base unit is unremarkable, let's move on to the thing I've just mentioned, which is Behemoth K.
Now that's actually very interesting, because last time we saw this guy was some flashbacks to Season 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was in Tangier.
No, last we saw Fina fluff his fur, like in that weird comedy cutscene.
Oh! No, right, yes, in lore, yes. I thought you meant actually fighting him.
No. Last time we fought him was the end of Season 1.
Yeah. But this time, well, he certainly lifted a bit and got much taller.
Okay.
Basically, this trial, to repeat what they've discussed and talked about in the Global Original podcast, if you don't clear this trial now, this is fine. It's a kind of trail that's much more in tune with the Neo Visions meta.
Okay. So, right now this guy
now,
is super, super beefy, is what I'm understanding.
Right now, one of the most reliable way to survive it is to have full evade on your entire party.
Wow.
Yeah,
So now all of a sudden that shield comes in handy for someone like Sylvie or any kind of support who likes shields.
exactly. That's why I say it does have use, because of mostly this guy.
Understandable. So he's that crazy that you need... Interesting.
Yeah, he has enormous, uncoverable physical attacks in AoE, and unprovocable physical attacks on single targets. And you have to play elemental Tetris with it, and he counters in certain ways, and he does non-elemental magic. Also, there's of course instant death, occasional triggers, and he has HP thresholds, where basically he targets one of your party member, and next turn this party member is going to get dispelled and then die. You can't provoke or anything which party member gets targeted. Basically, it's at 85%, it targets the enemy, the party member on slots 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on each of the thresholds, meaning that you cannot have a party that cannot survive without a single of your party members, because everyone is going to die at some point.
That is very, very frustrating, and I'm guessing Guts doesn't work, and I'm guessing, obviously, since there's a D-spell, you can't re-raise.
Exactly.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, he's beefy, but that's not the worst part of it. The single most frustrating part of this trial is an RNG element, due to the fact he has a 30% resistance to attack, defense, magic, and spirit breaks. This doesn't mean that he attenuates by 30 flat% the break value. It means that there is a 30% chance that your break will not work. And if he is not broken, he basically deletes your party.
Well, that's...
Yeah, that's pretty much why a lot of party compositions that try to most reliably survive this boss use several breakers or main breakers and units that have breaking as a side effect of their burst. Because you need the ability to roll the dice several times over and to do it throughout the fight, which can take a while because he is a huge pile of beef.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
And the best part is that right now he's mostly for bragging rights, given his rewards.
What are the
missions? For missions, you get a materia that's 50% attack and magic with a 20% fire and dark resistance.
That's
which is
okay.
You also have a materia that's an active. I don't really need to say much more about it because it's an active.
No.
It's, I think, it's a self-dispel and single target dispel, and then an attack and magic buff. So not really that useful.
Yeah.
And then you have the Behemoth suit, which is clothes with some decent defensive stats, some percent HP, 20%, and the ability to reduce incoming damage from beasts by 10%, which is a new type of damage mitigation. So it's interesting in that respect, but it's not exactly the most powerful reward.
No.
So right now you mostly want to kill Behemoth for breaking rights, and if you can't, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds,
Yeah, he's there for the challenge mostly.
that's acceptable. When in doubt, you just want to have that.
Yeah, it would have been much more frustrating if his reward were actually good, but I think at this level of power, and with some RNG reliance, the fact that they didn't lean too hard on the rewards is a pretty good decision.
Yeah. You don't want people getting frustrated throwing their faces against something they're not ready for.
Yeah, and people will still get frustrated, but now we have an acceptable reason to say they won't be frustrated because it's a permanent trail, so you can just wait it out. It's fine.
Yep.
Another thing you can wait out is the Chamber of the Vengeful. We haven't had one of those in a while, but it's a good old global original trails, beefed up and ready to be cleared 70 billion times.
And it's not Hasiko, is it?
No, still not Hasiko. It's instead the Christmas Imp.
Okay.
Elf of the Handle. And he seems to be mostly about getting dealt magic ice elemental damage. Deals a lot of wind damage. And you need to burst it pretty fast because at turn 3 it spawns a clone of itself that has less stats, but when you kill the clone, it kills one of your units, guaranteed.
Ack.
And there is a mission that is clear without having an like out.
So, yeah, it sounds like priority 1 is deal with deal with this thing as quickly as possible.
Yeah, basically you want in as few units as possible to deal enough damage to kill it and survive.
Okay.
And as for the rewards, we have one of the usual rewards, which still don't really find a home, which are the elemental weapon tied buffs. He 60% attack and magic percent if you equip with an ice weapon.
Okay.
You also have a material that will be useful on exactly one unit, namely an attack and magic 50% mace mastery, which will only ever be useful for Levinson, and that's it.
Oops.
Which at least is thematic with the fact that it's the Christmas Boss, and Levinson is one of the units that gets increased stats for this trail.
With a weirdly Jewish name, I will never let him live that down.
Indeed. So, as for the other rewards, we get Red Quartz, we get SCMR exchange tickets, we get some pots, pink pots, namely. We get a lot of those in the elite stage as well. There's a good set of rewards even in the earlier difficulties, so that's pretty nice. But the biggest breaking rights are probably the emblem, which are, save for the bronze one, on the legend difficulty. Also of note, you have to clear it to get all of the rewards with 50 units and not just 25, and it's a change we're going to roll back. So we already have Morgana, which have been added missions and rewards for clearing it with 28 all the way to 50 different units.
Okay.
And I kind of like the addition of new things because that's a nice way to just test a little bit your new unit. Like, hey, I pulled this unit, I already cleared all the trails I want, but I still have this one I can clear, get a clear with new units, and get some rewards for. If you don't treat these encounters as something you have to do all of the clears for right away, I think they're actually pretty thin, and you can do that because they are permanent. If you rush through them, it's a complete hassle that will drain your will to live.
Right.
So, if you think that's a worry, maybe don't do that. And enjoy them as a nice target to experiment your new fancy unit for.
Yeah.
And get rewarded for it, compared to, say, the training dummy. And lastly, there's a couple more things on FAB. That's it for the main content. But we've also had some shinies.
Shinies are good.
Quickly before we talk about those shinies, I'd like to remind people, if you're listening to it and we haven't gone through maintenance yet, you still have time to spend your select unit and select prism. Don't forget it.
Yeah, do not forget. We like stuff. Get your stuff.
It's easy to forget.
Indeed. Out of curiosity, what did you pick, Geister?
That was not that big of a surprise. I pulled the Tetra.
Tetra
No, I
Physalis?
forgot her name. Physalis, genau. Exactly. Because I just love Physalis.
Oh yeah, no, she's great.
She's wonderful.
And now you had the chance to have her guaranteed. Not gonna lie, I kinda hesitated. In the 8, I decided against because there's not a lot of chance I'm going to actually use her for content, but I'm glad she was an option. In the end, I went with Summer, Volcan, Citra, STMR, because that's a lot of resistances, and they're going to get a new vision. And for Sakura, because those killers could be useful in Dark Visions, especially since they're magic killers, and I'm using not Ace or units with physical killers primarily, but Umbrel, Dragon, Dark Fina, so I need those magic killers.
Which Sakura did you take?
Sakura of the Delta Star.
Ah, I thought so.
Yeah, the original-like one.
Yeah, I was thinking about the new Laswell, but
Oh yeah, no, I have him and he's very useful.
Physalis just won me over.
Yeah, no, I get it. She's a great character. Got a Neo Vision version in JP too now.
Yeah, I saw that. She's unleashing
That
her
makes me
inner
happy.
Exusii and just summoning a bunch of guns now.
Yeah, she's a Gunmancer now. She went full magic damage. Without even Tetrasilphid.
Nice.
Now then, we've had some things we've gotten from both daily logins and daily missions, which are the Soon coins.
Oh dear.
Right now, we can trade them for a few things, including, I think is it UOC or STMR Moogle tickets?
UOC.
Two. Oh, UOC then. We also have one Omniprism and up to 3 EX 5-star tickets. That's our choices right now. But more will be added to the shop, and the fact that it's not added yet seems to suggest that it's going to be New Visions related.
Okay.
Which is why they called Soon coins.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I still went for the 5EX tickets because I look at the possibilities and I thought, yeah, I'm probably going to get them eventually. Might as well get it over with now.
I went for the Omniprism.
Oh yeah, I probably would have it if I didn't already have like 4 of them.
Yeah, but I have a few more, but I also have many limited units I need to awaken.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But we're going to get more things, so start saving them up and look forward to it soon, TM. Which they're heavily leaning on. There is one disputable thing about the way they're obtained, which is the dailies you get them from.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because some of them are perfectly fine.
Some of them are perfectly expensive.
Yes. So you get some from things like doing a certain amount of damage or doing a high enough chain once a day. Then you have one that you get, a series of them you get from awakening a unit every day. And the most disputable of them is the ones you get from awakening a skill 4 times each day. Skill awakenings are expensive.
Yeah, 4 times a day? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot of Chris they are asking you to spend.
Yeah, and we've gotten a fair amount of them from mostly the bug summons from the raids. But that's still a lot of quiz we're throwing away if we want to have all of the coins, and we pretty much want those because the rewards are probably going to be good.
The crits aren't even my problem because I have the awakened abilities in a year, but I'm out of skill again. I need to farm it.
Oh
dear.
yeah, that's that problem too. Also, it doesn't help that the main way to actually farm Priest, namely story event, we haven't had one of these in months.
Oh yeah, did they just stop doing them?
They basically stopped doing them from the moment they started rushing and ignoring the existence of Season 3.
Well,
because in JP time, the story events were those that were for Season 3 characters along with their banners. We haven't had any of the Season 3 characters besides Blue-Mage Fina herself.
Huh.
And we haven't had a story event since, I don't think.
Wonder why we're holding back on that.
Oh, no. The last story event we've had was actually Dark Visions related. Of all things. So yeah, that's why they've added the Christ so prominently to the back summons from the raid event. But yeah, you need to tap in your resources if you want that, so it's not the best choice of a daily quest, and it's definitely awkward. But right now, I have a question for you, Geister, and I don't fully expect an answer, because I personally don't have one. Right now, we're recording on Monday, which means we haven't had the news yet. We haven't had the live stream yet, because that's happening on this Sunday. What are we even getting as an event this week?
Well, as they usually throw out the news somewhere on Tuesday. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, and generally we can guess. But frankly, even looking at the JP update schedule and comparing, I have no idea what they're going to do.
It would be pretty nice if they maybe had a unique event that actually gets the feeling of anniversary, because I'm missing that.
Yeah. I mean, our most likely option would be, I guess the second part of the FF9 event, but then they've skipped the second part of the FF12 event, because we haven't had Princess Ash nor Vasler. And there's a second part of the event with 5-star base Dagger and Summon Scion Echo, which we haven't gotten yet. And between that and New Vision, the only other two things that have been released were Cleome, which is a Season 3 unit, so we're probably not getting, and the Trails of Mana collab, which we're probably not getting either.
So it sounds like are either Ash or Dagger actually like worth anything?
I haven't really heard of them. What I'm assuming is that they're decent, but they're not NV, and NV is coming up most likely next week, so they're probably not going to see much use. The only reason I've heard about any unit from this event is because of Vasler, actually. Because Vasler has a very stupid skill.
Okay. How stupid is stupid?
Physical cover with 100% damage mitigation.
What?
And a 7% chance to proc. It's not an active, it's not a normal active, it's not a normal passive. It's a cooldown on a 4 turns cooldown that only has a 7% chance to actually cover a unit.
That is very stupid. Very strange, but very stupid. That's like a last-ditch, like, emergency, let's see if we get lucky and tag thing.
Yeah. On a physical cover unit. Because, we don't use evade for all of our physical needs.
Alright.
So, yeah, I have no idea what's coming up ahead, and we are definitely heading headfirst into weird stuff, because, as I've said, they've basically been rushing through powerful unit after powerful unit, and giving us a best-of the end of the 7-star meta, and we are at the end of this sprint. Like, the last part that was notable was CG Kuja, and we've had it.
Okay.
So, now what?
Now what, indeed? So what do we think we're doing with the Hellback Season 3 characters? Are they just going to go straight to Neovision or something?
I have no idea. And while some could be still useful, like I heard Clearhome still does good burst, and I've heard Poppy in particular is still a very good support, the others have mostly gone completely under the radar of usability. Kalmia would have had some niche because she was the first to be able to queue zombie.
Okay.
But that's been a skill that's been spread out to more and more units, including some we already have.
Well,
because CG Fina is going to be able to queue zombie in her Neovision Awakening.
Okay, go Fina.
So I have no idea what they're going to do with the Season 3 units. I tend to joke around in casual discussion that I hope they just forget they exist because Season 3's plot is something I heavily dislike.
As you've mentioned repeatedly and often.
Yes. But I don't know what they're going to do. Right now, ever since Season 3 started, the JP events that were released in Global are a complete Swiss cheese. And I mean that as a proverbial expression. Some Swiss cheese doesn't have hole. Don't at me.
Okay.
But yeah,
I don't eat cheese anymore anyway, freaking lactose intolerance. So, I don't know. What do I know about cheese? Yeah, no,
but my point is that they've skipped a lot of units. Not just the Season 3 ones. We haven't had the units from FF40 after years. We haven't had any sign of the Trails of Mana collab, even though Trails of Mana came to the West. We haven't had Elnaf. And we know that there's going to be at least one other Chamber of Arms humanized version of the unit that are going to get released in JP.
And that is?
That is Adefara, I think.
Okay.
We haven't had the Sino Alice collab either.
Okay.
And that game actually released recently, so had the perfect timing for it.
That's going to be slightly questionable because I don't think Square is involved in that.
Oh yeah, right, because of the Nexon shenanigans, and they eventually decided, screw it, we're going to release it on our own.
Yeah. So I'm thinking Sino Alice is less likely just because now we're dealing with cross-corporation stuff, and that's contractually a giant mess.
We haven't even had Mary ride in on a giant rat.
What?
Yeah, there's a unit that's named Green Mage Mary that's Mary riding on a giant hat and still providing magic type immunities of some sorts.
A giant hat or a giant rat?
A giant rat.
Okay, I thought you said rat the first time. The second time it sounded like hat, and I'm like,
oh no.
Are they
No, a
riding
big
around on a
mouse.
giant flying fedora? Or are they actually... Yeah, okay.
No, a
That
big
would be
mouse.
funny.
That would be
Yes.
funny. Okay, cool.
So yeah, we've had a lot of skips, and basically have watched to this point. What's coming after this point? We will definitely know more in 6 days as time of recording.
Yeah, we will
But right
absolutely be
now-
reporting on whatever the heck happens here.
Oh yeah, but right now I have no idea what's going to happen even this week. And
Well-
I don't know if next week they're going to fire new visions right away, or if they're going to backfill a little bit, or if they're going for a global original event. They could very much start new visions with some of their own special sauce.
I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, it would be this global team. Like, I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
I feel like that's very, very possible.
Yeah.
And with
We
that,
are on the verge of the apocalypse.
we are apparently on the verge of the apocalypse. We're also on the verge of an hour of recording time, and we're not out of FFBE yet.
We're done.
Okay, good.
That's all of the FFBE for the last 2 weeks and then some.
Yeah, unfortunately, my week off really kind of messed with things.
Apparently, they've decided let's just squeeze units that are too good not to be talked about.
Apparently. And with that, let's move on to what's likely to be a very brief Arknights. Hey, Nian again. We all like her. Now I think we all
And
have
now
her.
she's actually her. Oh, you get her.
Yes,
Good.
finally.
I've been sharing mine, and she is a much beefier tank than what the wiki led me to believe.
Okay.
I kind of thought she had, like, lower stats. Like, she was kind of the halfway point between Hoshigubo, who's kind of the gold star, 6-star tank, and Saria, who's more of a support tank. No, her stats are right up in Hoshi land. She's got, like, 8 less defense and 350 more, hit points at the same level, roughly speaking.
Sounds like a reasonable trade-off.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And then her skills have just better modifiers on them. So she ends up being almost tankier than Hoshiguma.
Sounds very good.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
probably why some of the insane people in the community said, if you don't get Nian, you can just delete your account and make a new one.
I don't think that's an accurate statement, because Hoshi is still
I
great.
don't think either.
A question that comes from my World Divisions field worries.
Okay.
If you get the unit like just doing a random pull on the last day of the event,
Mm-hmm.
are the materials and everything you need to enhance her and make her as powerful as possible part of the event?
Nope.
Or are they farmable all the
Totally farmable stuff. Some of them are harder to farm than others. She's got some of the new materials that just came out with this last chapter, which none of them have guaranteed drops yet, but other than that, like, no, she's fine.
time? Alright. So Arknights continues to do things decently, even while they're doing limited units
Yeah,
for no apparent reason.
yeah, no apparent reason is right. This actually kind of bothers me. I guess she was a Lunar New Year unit back in Hong Kong, but, like, she's not one now. Like,
And
obviously, because it's the middle
anyone-
of August.
Anyone not having gotten her, I would not despair, because in the end she just came out again, so she will probably return in Global 2.
Oh, she just came out. She had a rerun banner in China?
As far as I know,
Oh, well.
Oh, limited
okay then.
units that return. That sounds like an amazing discussion to have in our main topic.
Ha, yeah, I didn't know that was happening. I've been paying attention a little bit to China, and I have not actually seen that one yet, but I'm certainly not arguing. More chances to get a very, very good tank are a good thing.
Yeah.
That said, it does kind of leave poor Saria in the dirt, who's kind of been demoted from support tank to just plain support. But that's fine. Options are good, and having 2, like, super, like, tough tanks are really, really nice.
Also, it gives you another option when contingency contract returns and you can't put people on the high ground.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Any magic from melee is really, really good. And Nian does magic damage from melee with 2 of her 3 skills. And then her third one is this weird niche one that I still have yet to experiment with, but it just looks amazing. It doesn't increase her defense at all. It increases her attack, but everyone around her gets +1 block and a bunch of defense. So she creates fresh tanks. It's very wild. It's also really, really, like, risky. You're basically building your whole party around that, because you take someone like Manticore, who has block 0, and then make her block 1, she's going to get squished. She's not made for that.
Yeah, I didn't have time to experiment with her yet because I really just got her before the stream.
Yeah, I got her. I just E2'd her earlier this week, and yeah, she is sturdy.
And not for lack of trying.
No, how many pulls did it take you?
I would have to do the math, but something between 80 and 120.
Wow. Yeah, it took me about 50. And she was my only 6-star, so...
Yeah, it makes sense for you to train so hard, well, given that you're very much in the collecting mindset for this game. So, limited units...
And she's a lizard, so even more.
You do like your
And
lizards.
she's a lizard.
She's technically, like, named after the thing she is, which is a neon beast. That said, her character itself is lazy, bratty, kind of a jerk, and I
got that from the Awakening.
Yeah, she's a little much. I'm like, oh wow, we got a spoiled rich kid. This is great. What are you even doing here? Why do you let us deploy you on missions you're not technically employed?
If the developers ever want to make me happy, they release a spider one.
I'm just looking back to a recruitment quote, and it's a thing.
It's funny.
Hey, anyone here? Heard from one of you guys that I can make a comfy living here. Something about free lodging and food with plenty of free time left over? What do you mean this area is for staff only? Don't be like that. You make it sound like I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I've known a friend of two like that.
Yeah.
She would be best buddies with Catapult, I think.
Yeah, I have not done much with Catapult. I don't even think she's E1 yet, so I need to actually, like, check out her, like, quotes and stuff.
She's lazy as can be.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Congratulations on getting the rarest pool in the game so far. You're getting a terrible person.
You are getting a terrible person who will protect every other not terrible person to a spectacular degree, so mechanically she's wonderful. Yeah, I'm a little afraid of our next limited unit, who is going to show up in China. It was the 1-year anniversary. Oh dear, she's really powerful, and she's actually like a character from the story who I really like, and I'm like, oh boy.
Oh.
Like, this is even worse. Nian is someone I could have lived without. I'm not sure I could live without W.
Huh.
Like, that is going to be a problem.
Let's hope this W won't turn into an L.
That would be nice. Basically, she is a fire demon who brings her fire and brimstone. If by brimstone you mean gunpowder, and fire you mean things like frag grenades, claymore mines, sticky bombs, and landmines.
Yeah, and we know with Ifrit how much you don't love at all fire demons.
Yeah, I hate them, clearly. Yeah, W is the ranged physical AoE, basically similar to Meteorite or Shirayuki, and she just blows stuff up really good. It says a lot that her skill 1, her first skill that she just starts with, is essentially identical, if different modifiers, to Meteorite's second skill.
Okay.
So she's starting where Meteorite finishes. And everything else just improves from there. It's ridiculous how good she is. And I'm like, oh dear, I like you in the story, you're a really cool boss fight, and oh yeah, I can actually get you, and you're more powerful than one of my favorite units. This is gonna be fun.
Might be the day we see Galen wail again.
I came close on Nian. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I got lucky, but yeah, I'm very scared of what happens. I'm busy in super resource saving mode.
Yeah.
There's a couple of units between now and then who I'm interested in. One who I desperately need. But that is about it. So I think I'm likely going to be saving and skipping quite a few banners.
As long as you can see it coming.
Yeah. Well, so far we haven't had anything global original. We've had a couple of rearrangements, but that's been about it.
Luckily, the game does not tell you need to pull, but just due to the guaranteed, then stop.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the big advantages of this game. I've talked about that at length. The pulling practice in this game is actually very, very strong. So
relaxing.
It really is. It's so not stressful, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm also hearing rumors. Well, I don't want to say rumors, but in China, more advanced characters like Asia Fala did eventually make it to the distinction shop, so I may not even need to pull for her for much longer. I may just end up buying her. And
nice.
Asia Fala is one of those, like, the one thing I'm really missing right now is a single target magic unit, so it's either going to be her or Siobi. And Siobi is, I think, the next 6-star we're due, so that's probably going to be in a few weeks. And that's that for Arknights. I see nothing to add to that, unless, Geister, you have something to say.
No, nothing big there. It's the only game that's only with a limited unit and no big event around it.
What's up, Rana?
So, quick mention, because we've talked about terrible people, and that feels like a natural transition.
Oh dear.
To briefly mention Sinoalis.
Okay.
Namely, the fact that they've went from the Nier Automata collab to now the Nier collab.
Which one?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's Replicant and not Gestalt. So that's Brother Nier and not Papa Nier. But right now, anyway, we don't really have room and knowledge to talk at length about it anyway, because none of us three are actively playing, I don't think.
And I'm actively angry at Replicant's existence, so, like,
yes. Yeah. And even theirs apparently is getting about at the end of his urge to play the game.
Yeah, I keep hearing
we'll probably talk more about it next time he's on the show.
Let's hope.
Yeah, but this felt like it deserved mention, if only because the Nier games and Sinoalis are full of terrible characters.
Yeah.
Purposefully terrible, not terribly written.
Yeah. Karayoko likes jerks a lot.
Yes.
For better or worse.
Well then, shall we move on to some other kind of tales? Not fairy tales, but Crestoria tales?
Geister, you have been playing Tales of Crestoria. Now, I've been a fan of the Tales series of video games for a while. Why don't you tell me about this one?
Yeah, this game came right out of the left field for me because I have never played any Tales game.
Okay.
I knew of them. I loved many of the music videos people made from those games. So I just thought, well, try the gacha. Let's see how good it is. And story-wise, character-wise, gameplay-wise, I really enjoy it.
All right then.
So I just start with the pros, I'd say.
By all means.
The story is really captivating. It's a really good story as far as I can tell, as far as I
from what you've shared, it sounds like there's a lot of real harsh beats every now and then.
Yes, the story is, on the one hand, the characters can be lighthearted and fun and bicker with each other. On the other hand, the story is brutally bloody and dark sometimes. Like, really. Things I did not expect in a game.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I remember after some part you've actually asked others that have played some of the game if the stories are generally this dark, which they aren't always. It goes on a scale, and from game to game it changes.
Yeah.
And for this one of all games, they decided to go full grimdark.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
We know Berseria was really dark, but obviously.
Like-
For instance, Chilia was pretty chill.
This might be a bit spoilery,
Okay.
but in the prologue, you actually kill your main character's own father.
Whoa.
Fun times.
That's brutal.
And it's not a mistake or something. It's you do it because he's a horrible person.
Good old patricide.
When in doubt.
And it only gets darker from there.
Oh, by the way, the main character in question, is it a character that actually has a name, a face, a predetermined personality?
Yes.
Or is it... okay.
Yes. The
So
main
it's not,
character
"Hello,
is
you."
like your average... He looks like your average JRPG protagonist. Blonde, spiky hair. I am fighting for the good kind of character.
Which is
When
weird, because
suddenly
Tales doesn't
patricide.
usually indulge in that sort of character.
And a bit naive too, of course. And his counterpoint is the female protagonist, who is strange in her own ways, but not this let's do for the good, let's save everyone. She's just along for the ride because he is there. And
Might
not
as well.
not in a lovey-dovey way, but she's another thing on her,
Good.
let's say.
They've proved they can do characters of opposing genders going along with the same cause without needing to rely on romantic tension.
They're pretty good at that, as the games
And
go.
the world itself, I can't escape the feeling, I did write that in the Discord, that from some angle, the whole story, the whole world, is a commentary and a critique of modern cancel culture.
Apparently there's some sort of Death Note-like things that works on basically popular request.
Everyone in this world, I don't know how they get it, but they get it by or at or shortly after birth, they get some kind of smartphone-like device
Okay.
that they always have with them and that records everything. And if something happens, they can send what happened to a vision shrine where this is recorded and displayed to everyone around, and then everyone around who sees that and who is told what happened can then pray for the evil people that did the things to disappear. So if you do something wrong, you're in the court of public opinion, and if they think you are bad and pray enough for you to be removed, magical beings will appear and take you away. EA, you are killed.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about this premise is that it doesn't sound like a gacha scenario, it sounds like an anime scenario, through and through.
There are anime cutscenes scattered through the story at
even
important
for
points,
anime-inspired JRPGs, which the tales of are very much in this field, this absolutely sounds like just an anime.
Yeah, and the main characters of your group, they all, of course, are what they then call transgressors, people that are condemned by the public and that somehow escape these magical beings through some magical means by accepting and embracing their sin and getting magical powers through that, and a magical
Okay.
weapon that they draw from their own heart. I'm not at the point in the story yet where it is explained,
Okay.
but that's what happens. So,
yeah, and that does seem to provide a good justification for, hey, you're working from point A to point B, but also there's 17,000 monsters that try to kill you.
yes, and everyone in this world who I have met yet, who is in a position of power, can maintain this position because they know how to manipulate the public and just let them pray for any opponent they have to get taken away, be killed.
Co-ed power figures? That doesn't sound like a Tales of at all.
No.
That was sarcasm, by the way.
So that's for the story, so far as I have seen it. The game has, like any gacha game, different rarity characters, and all these characters are drawn from all the Tales games around. I don't know if all of them are included because I don't know the games, but there's quite a lot of them.
There is right at the start. There's pretty much every protagonist.
Yeah, they have SSR characters, they have SR characters, and they have R characters because they are not characters. When you summon for a character, you are not actually summoning for the character, you are summoning for the Memoria Stone. The Memoria Stone is something you can equip to a character which gives them passive bonuses. Like crit chance, like limit burst gauge, it's called over limit here. Everything you can imagine. And when you recruit a character for the first time, you not only get the Memoria Stone, but you also get the unit.
Okay.
Not for R characters. R characters have no unit. They are just the buff stones.
Okay.
SR and SSR characters are units too. They are not only the stones. The SR characters do not have a limit break, or over limit, as they call it here, and the SSR characters do have this over limit.
But, and I'm being deliberately candid here, it sounds like you absolutely need an SR or even better an SSR character to be able to play the game effectively. How do they guarantee you get one if your main character isn't a unit?
The main character is a unit.
Oh, I thought you said the opposite.
You get,
I must have misheard.
You get all the main characters as units through the story, but there's an SSR version of every one of those characters you can get from the gacha.
Okay.
And the SSR characters are generally, of course, more powerful than the SR characters, but without the SR characters, you will probably not have a good team. Because while the SSR characters give you the damage and the overlimit skills, the SR characters do the bulk of the support stuff.
Interesting.
Through their passives, through their skills.
And also what I was leading to is the fact that they have an interesting way to find an alternative to rerolls.
Yeah.
When you're creating a new account.
When you start the game, you pretty much immediately after the tutorial, you get a ticket that says, here, pull any SSR or SR character that we currently have in the game for free. Choose it. Choose your favorite character.
Do you like Velvet? Have Velvet.
Okay.
And right after that, if you play the tutorial a bit more, you get, at least at the moment, a free 10 pull. And that's where people say to reroll because you pick your favorite character. Then you do the 10 pull and want to get another SSR character. And
Makes
if
sense.
you don't get one, you reroll.
Yeah.
Or you don't if you like what you get in
Exactly.
about the SR characters.
How many characters do you field at the same time?
you have 4 characters in your active team, and you have 2 reinforcement characters. Every time one of your characters drops, one of the reinforcements comes in and takes its place.
Yeah, 4 characters a team makes sense for the Tales. It's been like that since the first one.
What's interesting about the combat system is when it's your turn, it's only your turn. That means you can let your characters attack in any order you choose.
Okay.
There's not like you have this one, then this one.
So right out of the gate, this doesn't exactly sound like a Tales game, because Tales usually happens in real time, and you actually actively control the main character action game style.
It's turn-based.
Well, it wasn't always like that, actually. It was a bit different for the first one, but...
yeah, I did never play Fantasia, I gotta be honest about that, so...
And when you... The combat system, it's... At first, it looks simple, but it's actually really deep. Because as you can let your characters attack at any point in time, until all 4 have attacked, you can do the sequence you like, the sequence you think is the most effective. There is a hit counter each turn, and each ability you use does a set amount of hits. And this hit counter goes from 0 to 60, if I'm not mistaken. On every 10 hits, you get, for the remainder of this turn, percent damage for any character that acts after that. So you try to build the hit count as high as possible until your highest damaging character attacks to do, in the optimum scenario, 100% extra damage.
Essentially a chaining and then finishing.
Yeah, just that the chaining is not like in FFE where they have to hit at the same time, but you just collect the hits.
It's not bound to timing.
Okay.
And then there is this over limit gauge, the limit break. Each character collects over limit gauge on its own if they have an over limit skill, and the over limit skill you can use once it's ready, regardless of if the character has already acted or not. So you get an extra attack with the over limit gauge.
Oh, nice. And so there's probably, from what you're telling me, the possibilities like making huge burst stones where you use both the over limits and the normal skills to be able to build to the max hit count early.
Yes,
have several finishers in it.
You collect your highest hit skills in the turn you want to do the highest over limit damage skill, and then just punch someone out.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Especially, I mean, from the first one, the series has been mostly action RPG centric, and it's interesting that they've trained to translate mechanics, but without the action element to allow for a more relaxed pace that probably fits a phone game better.
Yeah. The fights are usually between 2 and 4 waves.
Okay.
And depending on the stage, you might have a single enemy, a boss, or a group of enemies. And if you know beforehand, well, bring the team that does the best, as well as they have elements. Each character has an element, and each character has an element that it counters. The usual element wheel. And then there are 4 elements of earth, fire, wind, and water, of course. And then the 2 outlier elements, light and dark, which only counter each other.
I am Ranakel's complete lack of surprise.
That's a pretty standard element system. Usually games have 3 of those, they have 4, and then dark and light. It's that's pretty normal.
Yeah, very much so.
The 3D art in the game from the combat is the characters look really well, really good. The background art is a bit like 2012-ish.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of videos of some battles while this discussion was happening to get a better idea. And yeah, the characters models are pretty much on par with the characters from the source game for the PS3 era games anyway. Maybe a little bit less details, but very much not only recognizable, I'd hope so, but in the same vein, in the same style. But yeah, the environment was just a castle corridor.
Yeah, the backgrounds are like PS1, early PS2 graphics, I'd say.
Yeah.
They are not the best, but
I mean,
they work.
if it's a fan service centric game, might as well focus on the characters people and players know and love, which of course make it a particular situation for you because the fan service isn't really a part of the equation.
Yeah, I know no character. I have seen some of them in some videos, but I can't put any names to any faces unless I have already drawn them and used them in this game now. They're fun. They actually bicker with each other in the battle and at the battle conclusion screen. There are really dialogues
they're
where
very good at that.
There are dialogues where they tease each other, or they don't like each other, or they like each other. It's really
I like that a lot
funny.
because I think that's one of the main way to make a full series crossover games work is to have characters from different games of the same universe that interact and never would have.
One of my big problems is when crossovers happen and no one actually crosses over. They just sort of stay in their own lanes and keep talking to their own usual groups, and they just happen to be around each other. That's actually a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. And in the story, I have been told that the Tales games too, in the story, there are actually, between the chapters and the missions, there can little pop-ups appear with skits where the characters just talk to each other.
Yep, they have a lot of those skits that gives a lot of life to the game.
They do. That is a very, very common feature.
Then you have yes?
I'm curious, as of right now, which are your favorite SSRs, you'd say, from what you've seen from this game alone?
My favorite SSR at the moment is, let me look from which game she comes. It's Rita.
Rita.
Rita Mordio from Tales of Vesperia.
Exactly. It's the one I choose when I started the game because I liked her looks. And I like her bratty interaction with some of the characters in the windscreens. Really nice.
She is snarky and she drops a lot of firepower. Or actually more water power because her whole thing was like flood.
She actually does a surprising amount of damage, and it's the character I've raised the most for now. She's max level.
Nice.
And I have just unlocked her ascension board, where you can then fine-tune the abilities.
Alright.
There is a power-up system. If you get a dupe of a character, you don't get the character, you get the Memorial Stone only. And you can either use this Memorial Stone to give the character another star.
Yeah.
So marginally increase the skills and attributes. And or you can upgrade the Memorial Stone itself you got when you got the character. And increase again stats and passive skills.
So that actually sounds an awful lot like Arknights dupe system, the potential system.
It's different because you can take the Memorial Stone and put it on another character.
Theoretically, you could do that. I mean, sort of. You could do that with Arknights as well, because you get like certificates if you have max potential on someone, and then trade those for things that will love other people. But yeah,
because there are some the last 2 weeks, of course, the limited summer banners came, and there are actually some characters where the pros tell you just to summon for the stone or just to summon for the character. You get both, but so you know what's better.
Yeah, kinda like sometimes you want to pull for a character in FFB, not because of the character, but because of their TMR.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I imagine you'd want Summer Yuri, because just look at him.
Many people have tried to get Summer Yuri because he's shirtless, yes.
Of course.
And haven't succeeded.
No. Correction. You're spreading misinformation and lies. He has a shirt, but it's open.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that definitely takes away from no shirt, no shoes, no service.
He has also flip-flops.
Yeah. There is
From what I can see from the artwork. Anyway.
There is some sort of dressing room in the game called Character Room, where you can actually put attachment on the characters that are then shown in battle.
Oh, they've kept that.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm glad they've kept that. That's in just about every Tales game as well. That's not.
You can
that's
do really silly things like, because I started the game on the first day, or the first week, whenever that was available, you get an actual cat you can put on the head of your characters. So my main character is running around with a white cat, just lurking on his head.
That checks out.
That's very Tales. That is very Tales.
For the login screen, you can decide to either display some character art, or to have the actual character 3D models of 4 of your characters with all their attachments.
Yeah, and I have to say, the character artworks are just super. The large full-screen artworks.
They are great.
Very, very nice.
And there have been, I think, 2 or 3 events till now, and each of those events, of course, you could buy attachments for the character room.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give them water guns, snorkels, a watermelon on their head, some silly beards, stuff.
Perfect. Yeah.
I can do
sounds like the right kind of get-up to pursue a grimdark story.
Perfect.
There's a guild function in the game, so you can join a guild and then help each other in the raid content, for example. There is a friendship system where you can take other units into battle, like in FFP or other games of that type.
Okay.
You can have, I think, 8 parties, 1 for each element, and then 1 for raid and 1 for PvP. I think there is PvP. The PvP is actually really fun.
Ooh.
I will come back to that later when I come to the contra points.
Okay, first, I have had something on my mind for a couple of moments now. How common is Demon Fang as an attack skill? Because every single protagonist has had a skill of that name since the first one, I believe.
Incorrect. Sometimes it goes to other characters. Generally speaking, the character who gets Demon Fang is the one who's the most traditional hero, which is why they gave it to Flynn instead of Yuri in Tales of Vesperia, which is why Chloe instead of Senel in Tales of Legendia. Just because you're the protagonist doesn't mean you're the Tales hero who gets Demon Fang.
So that is a very well-known skill, I take it?
Yeah, that is one of the principal skills of the series.
And it's mostly memed around because some protagonist or other character shout it really loud every single time they use it.
Everyone shouts every move really loud. That's not new.
I haven't I haven't noticed a skill called Demon Fang yet.
Ooh.
The main character definitely does not have it.
What weapon does the main character use?
The main character uses, I would say, a greatsword.
Okay.
He should have Demon Fang.
No,
maybe
usually that's for sword and board users. So usually that's for, I mentioned Chloe or Guy.
They call it longsword in the game because characters actually have weapon types which you can optimize in party setup.
But they're flexible. I mean, Jude had it and he was a fist user.
And his skills are taken from the names, they are rather normal. Faint form strike, rending bite, and normal attack.
Okay.
Very
no Demon Fang
anticlimactic. I don't have normal Yuri yet. I have the limited Summer Yuri. Let's check his skills.
Yeah, I've seen something weird about it, by the way. Which is that on the artwork, he's shown wearing a couple of water pistols. And
Yes.
guns is a type of weapon in the game, but he's listed in the list I'm looking at as a sword user.
Yes, his weapon type is sword, because
I feel cheated.
pistols is not a weapon.
Oh. Okay, I thought guns was.
Does anyone actually use guns and tails? Did Alvin? I feel like Alvin was more of a fist guy who had a gun mover too. Do I remember that
I've
right?
I see a guy named Vicious that has those.
I have seen a few gun users pop up in my summons, but most of them have been rare units, so no characters actually at the moment.
Okay.
Vicious. I'm trying to remember who Vicious was.
The weapon types I have summoned and seen so far are long swords, dual swords, arts, so magic things, and some kind of fist characters,
Okay.
types.
Yep.
And axes. And I haven't used or noticed any other types yet. There probably are, because I'm playing this game about free to play. I have, in the first week I bought the Fountain of Lapis thingy, could call it. I think.
Okay.
Awesome.
Update about Vicious. He's an original for this game.
Oh, okay
Yeah.
then.
And he's glorious.
He is also very open-shirted.
Yes, and very. He reminds me of Ben from Seven Deadly Sins.
I'm afraid I haven't watched Seven Deadly Sins, but I trust you on that. He is a very dark and brooding pretty boy.
He's equally naked, equally rude.
What else could you ask for?
So he's the male Nian.
Everything he's concerned about until now, as far as I've seen it, is to cause trouble. He just wants to destroy, kill, and cause any ruckus he can, probably to abolish the current system of the world.
That's
Makes sense.
pretty on par for a Tails villain or Tails anti-hero.
He's an anti-hero. He's definitely no villain because he's the one who actually saves you, kind of like.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
By-
so far
By trying
he
to kill
sounds
you.
very much like a gender-burned version of Velvet.
A little bit. Velvet tried to hide how nice she was, though. Like, you get to some of the skits, she actually comes off as, like, really just, like, chill. But
Yeah.
she tries to hide it.
She wanted to be chill, but then murder happened.
Yeah.
The game, of course, has an energy system, as most of these games have,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but with a 3-minute regeneration, pretty quick.
Alright, I think that's a similar pace than with Exvius.
Reflectus, I think, has 5 minutes,
I
4
think
minutes. Arknights has 7, which is
6.
pretty long. 6? It's 6. Still pretty long.
That's a
With,
very long one, actually.
With Tails, I can just put the phone away for an hour, then play quite a lot. Because the stages don't really cost that much unless you raid high level.
Right.
There's an extra system for raid assistance, because you can either start a raid yourself or help others out that have started a raid. And it's much cheaper and more efficient to help a lot than start a lot. But if you start a raid, you of course get more stuff in the end.
Alright.
And the things you get from raids are either event currency or stuff you need to awaken your characters.
Well, a multiplayer raid system that makes sense. Wouldn't see that in World Divisions.
Yeah, the raid system is actually you only fight with your team. You can take a friend with you, but any debuffs apart from special debuff that you put on the boss is there for everyone else that fights this boss.
Interesting.
So if many people fight it with many debuffs, it adds up and the fight gets easier. So you can actually, if you play this with friends, build your parties to really support each other.
That reminds me a bit of the way Grand Blue did their raid. But with slightly less, somebody you don't even see suddenly one-shot the boss.
So that was about the features and the pros of the game. And
Alright. No, tell us about
now
the bad stuff.
the bad stuff. And the bad stuff is almost exclusively game design choices and performance.
All right.
Alright.
The thing that annoys me the most is that this game has the same data storage system like DFFO or 7 Deadly Sins. You can only have it installed on one device, and if you want to play it on another device, you need to install it, make a data transfer, and before you can then use it again on the other device, you have to delete it there and reinstall it, re-download it, and then do another data transfer.
That seems
and
needlessly
that's usually
ponderous.
what puts me out of a game. Because
Yeah.
I hate that. And that I still
Yeah.
play this game and love this game is a big testament to the story and all the positive points I said. Because it's
Yeah.
not the only negative point. Another negative
Go
point
on.
is the friend system. Is when you start the game, it's set to auto-accept. It will accept
Uh-huh.
any friend request you get. You have at the start a very limited friend list of 10 people. It grows with each rank you make. But you can only remove 5 per day.
Oh!
If you have removed 5, you have to wait a day until
Yeah,
you can
because
remove
I was
more
gonna
people.
say,
What?
at least you can turn off the option and clean things up, but apparently
if you
no,
don't-
you can't.
If you don't disable this auto accept immediately, your friend list will be full in a minute,
And then,
and then you have real problem to clean up again. Especially as most people will not notice this for a week or something.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
really obnoxious. That's actually like, why did they design it this way?
Yes. Then the game has had ever since the start and still a crashing problem. The game
Oh.
will crash frequently. It will crash very frequently on emulators. It does not like it. It will crash at any point. It can crash, even if you do what you must do to even run it, because at least on BlueStacks you have to put your BlueStacks on one core. If you have more than one core, the game will crash when you start a battle.
Yeah, I'm just typing the word Tales of Crestoria crash in Google, and there
Yeah.
seems to be a lot
The
of
game
posts, a lot of Reddit posts.
Crashes a lot. It's not a problem apart from being very annoying in most content of the game, because if you get back in, you can just resume the quest, start it again, or you can cancel it, and if you cancel a quest or if you fail a quest or a stage, you get all the stamina back you used to enter it, so you have no loss there.
Good.
It is, however, a problem in raid content, because the raid might be over when you come back in.
Oh, yeah.
And
And I'm
you-
seeing a post titled Arena is literally unplayable.
Yes, it is a huge problem in Arena, because if you crash in PvP, it counts as a loss.
Ugh.
So you might have a win streak of 15 with really nice points, and then you crash and it's over. And you can start again. And
Oof.
on emulator, Arena crashes like 50% of the time. I have seen content creators that say I'm only not investing in PvP and not a high rank because I play on an emulator and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
On a phone, crashes much less, but it also crashes frequently, like 1 or 2 times a day. That's very annoying. They
Sounds
have
like it.
had patches to improve it. They have sent out free stuff as compensations for the issue and are still looking into it, but the crashes still happen. And it's annoying.
It does sound annoying.
Yeah,
Wow.
sounds like something they'll have to fix, and sooner than later, because the launch window for these games is very important.
Yep.
Yes, then there is another thing that can happen,
Uh-oh.
which also stops your app. It's not a crash, but the game can randomly decide to close the app, open a browser page for you, and tell you, we have stopped your app because we have detected some forbidden actions. You should not do this. When you have done nothing but play the game normally or use the auto battling in the game.
Great.
I have tried. I have had 16 of these types of crashes since I started. I've counted them, yes. There's nothing happened to my account yet. I don't know if there will at any point, but the feeling of I could be banned is not good.
Yeah.
And I have Googled and checked Reddit and other sources what might cause this. And they said, the one thread I found said it was because I was using a rooted phone. I should not do that. I do not use a rooted phone. I have no idea where this is coming from. It's
Yeah.
Because it always leaves this feeling of I might be banned out of the blue one day.
Yeah. That's not exactly something that fills you with confidence.
Yeah. So these technical issues are really not nice. And finally, another issue, if you have an old phone or a phone with a small battery, the game just eats your energy.
Yeah,
Your phone will be drained of energy very, very quick.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, the characters model are tailored well enough as it is. Add to that the many attachments that each show. No wonder the decor are bare bones, because just with that, they're probably eating up a lot of resources.
Yeah. Another reason I would love to play it on an emulator, but I can't. Because the crashes are so annoying.
Yeah.
But despite all the technical issues, I'm still playing it daily because it's a really, really good game. And if they could just fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds like something that needs to be fixed, but at least as long as the basis is solid enough.
Yeah. And of course, it is a gacha game, so I should mention the gacha rates. The gacha rates are... Some people say they are pretty terrible, but these people usually come from the FFO, which has 10%.
Yeah, no, the FFO is another world entirely.
Yeah. This game has... the SSR rate is 5%, which is pretty good. The SR rate is 20%. And the other 75 are Rs. And if you do 10 pulls on a single banner, you have one SSR guaranteed. And the SR rate,
like a fine system.
The SR rate climbs to 95%.
Okay.
So on the 10th pull, you should have one guaranteed SSR and 9 SRs that can, of course, go into new SSRs. Yes,
of course.
I have multiple pulls. I had multiple pulls with 2 or 3 SSRs. I had multiple pulls with just one SR. Everything can happen.
Yeah, no, this sounds like
the rates
perfectly fine rates.
5% is solid. I think it's fine. I've played so many games with 2 or 3% rates. That's absolutely okay for me.
Yeah.
Was there anything else I put down? No, that's all I put down.
Alright, thank you very much for sharing your Tales of Crestoria experience. Looks like a solid game that certainly needs a little bit of fixes.
Yeah,
but,
definitely needs some bug squashing. Sure. Overzealous anti-cheat protection on top of crash issues is just a big problem. And then the way their friend list is set up just sounds problematic in the extreme.
And it certainly sounds like it's more solid to at least have the foundation being solid and be able to work from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm curious to see how the game will turn out 6 months from now.
Yeah, and at the moment you can easily play it fully free to play.
Which is always nice. Especially if you want to just enjoy the story, which apparently is pretty nice.
The 4 main characters that are by now out are the 4 top characters the JP players tell you to max. Because they're so useful.
No, interesting. We like 3 units being useful.
You can easily put them to max evolution awakening thingies because you can buy their stuff in shops. And they have good synergies.
Good. Alright then, shall we move on to our main topic of the day?
Please and thank you. We are super low on time.
So, the main topic of the day is what I like to call the semi-limited units.
Okay.
Units that are limited at time of release, are not part of the normal pool of units you can get in off-banners and the like, but that return every now and then. Units like Nian, which returns in Arknights on the CN version. Units like some of the seasonal units in FFB, or units like the FFT units for World Divisions that should come back in some respect for the next FFT related event. So they work like limited units at time of release, but eventually come back, and it's an interesting in-between, I think. In particular, what I'd like to ask first is whether you feel like it's something that takes the fear of missing out and dampen it by giving you more chances, or that just doubles down on it, that with things like, hey, you missed out this time, make sure you don't miss out now.
There's a difference for me how they present it. Because if they tell you from the start, this unit will come back.
Yeah, that
pretty
takes
nice,
a lot of
but
pressure off.
very often the announcement is in fine print, this unit may or may not return in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is
that's
something
a problem.
You could add to every unit.
Because if I speak from my main game, Epic 7, the limited units are usually at the start very much OP.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone who's missed them or started the game after they came will save their stuff when they come back to get them. Because they are just so good.
As time have returned, aren't these highly valued units generally power crap?
In Epic 7, no. Not yet.
Okay. That much, huh?
Two of them are that good that they are still a mainstay in PvP and completely trivialize parts of PvE. One of them was more like, it's okay. And one of them everybody thought was bad, but 1 month after, everyone who didn't get her was pretty much sad. Because, oh, surprise, she was awesome.
Yeah.
In the game that does this the most from the game I know would be Fire Emblem Heroes, because they have just so much seasonal banners, and they put them over the year in many other banners, that it's practically just, if you don't get it this month, you get it next month or the month after.
Yeah, the Grand Hero banner seems to be very much specialized in that, where they basically take the limited best of from the few months before and put them at an 8% base rate.
Yeah. FFB is along the lines, at least to me, for this unit might return or might not return, and if it returns, we don't know if it gets 7-star or not. So it's...
Yeah, we haven't heard from
uncertain.
Tiana again, even though there was a Christmas event between her release and now. I don't think. But most of the time, the rule seemed to be if it's a collab, it's not coming back. If it's a seasonal unit, it's coming back. But we've had the event that was entirely collab units coming back.
I'm still sad that the Brave Frontier units will probably never get a 7-star.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one, especially given how Tilith shaped the meta at the time. But I'd like to offer a bit of a different point of view to see the thing, which is the size of the unit pool, and in particular the fact that these games need these events, these collabs, these seasonal events, and these temporary units. But if they're all added permanently, you're getting a very large pool with a very large chance to get very diverse of banners. And I already know that, for instance, in FFBE, it always feels weird to get an Aloha Laswell or Bikini Dark Fina when it's November.
Yeah, the unit pool in some games is pretty large. In FFB, a 5-star ticket, not that much of a boon anymore because there are so much selection of units. I still got
and
the same.
And that's even with the fact they've pruned a lot of the earlier 5-star bases.
Yes, they have. I have the feeling they are drowning us in 5-star tickets because I have so many of them, and still getting the 1 unit or the 2 units I would really like rarely happens because the pool is just so large.
I mean, we're probably going to get even more 5-stars soon because of the chances of an increase of 5-star pools to compensate for the arrival of new visions. But that's a bit of a digression.
Other games, this problem does not really happen because they have pity rates for the banner, where you get the unit guaranteed after a certain time. Even Fire Emblem Heroes did put that in for some banners.
I mean, I understand for collab units in particular why they're not part permanently of the game, because first, it's a bit of an event, and an event can reoccur, but there's also some contract-related shenanigans, I imagine. That means that you can't have permanently, 2B in your game. I mean, she is there permanently in the data, you can use her permanently, but you can only get her at a certain point. And I guess that's just a way to multiply the points. And if there are new systems added, a nice way to reactualize these units. Like, I think the question is, even in games that aren't Epic 7, that don't have the limited units, be so meta-breaking. Should the return of limited units be suitable to the meta, or should it just be there if only for the nostalgic value?
I don't necessarily want to say rebalances should happen unless rebalancing is part of the tapestry of the game itself. But like Arknights is a really good example of this. The meta doesn't really shift, so to speak, and generally speaking, a new 6-star is going to have a different mission profile as opposed to being a more powerful version of the unit. Like, we just got a new... Well, I don't want to say we. China's about to get a new 6-star ranged guard, which is the same mission profile that Silver Ash has. on paper, but then you look at their skills and they just operate in two completely different ways, so there's no reason you wouldn't just use them both, or there's some circumstance where you just one over the other, but neither clearly outpowers the other one. That's a case where rebalancing is largely unnecessary because the game is balanced well enough that becomes a non-issue. In the case of something like FFBE, though, yeah, upgrade. Do the upgrade thing.
I'm at a point where I have to ask, take the example of the new automata returns, because that's events you were still playing the game for.
Yeah.
Let's say tomorrow they're saying, we're doing a new automata event.
Okay.
Would you rather have NV awakenings for the existing units and you can just pull back for them again? Or would you rather have whole new units, alternate versions of the characters, and the likes?
I want my upgrades. Give me my originals. 100% of the time. I've already pulled these. I've already pushed them. Like, give me a chance to get MV 2B, A2, and were there any of the 6 stars? Was that it? No, 9S was a 4-star.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting in that it does mean that you could be de-incentivized to pull when the event returns, but at the same time, it also means that when a whole new event with temporarily limited unit that might return, you could think, alright, I'm going full on because there's a chance that they might have a longer shelf life than another unit because of this event return.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think if you're going to have a limited time unit that's only capable of existing for being pulled for a bit at a time, that you should get as much bang for your buck as you could possibly get.
Yeah, not regretting units you pulled for 3 months later is generally a good thing, I'd say.
I agree. Especially since limited time units are by their nature limited time. If it's just someone you could get whenever, it's less crazy, but I don't know. I feel like there's a middle ground here that if they're going to keep coming back, they should keep coming back for a reason and not just be there for nostalgia's sake.
Maybe a similar pace, but something predictable.
Usually,
that would be the best.
Usually, if it's a limited time unit, especially when you really love, you don't want her to fall off. You want her to be used again in the future.
You want to use this collab unit you like. So I guess while the topic was mostly about semi-limited unit, it's also an endorsement of just bringing all the units to par to make them feel more worth, and not just as a way to save, but also to build attachment to parts of your team.
The most important stuff. To me.
And that, I think that's a pretty good conclusion to the episode.
I would say so. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This one ran long, but hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Thank you again, Geister, for joining us for our discussions and for running down Tales of Crestoria for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you with us indeed.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Like usual, love going out to Kite, who hopefully will be back to join us soon. Hope he gets better soon with his... It's a mental health thing, not an actual health thing. Mental health is actual health. Whatever.
Mental health is actual health.
Mental health is actual health.
Point being, next episode should be very interesting, and I hope you tune in for it.
And we will be back next week with more of the games you love to hate. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.
Goodbye.
See you.